This is Bonnie Vandermeulen, Training Coordinator for Wisconsin Facets. On behalf of our entire Wisconsin Facets staff, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. The title of today's webinar is Learn the Signs, Act Early. Our presenter today is Chris Fitzer-Barnico. Chris is the CDC's Act Early Ambassador to Wisconsin. She is a clinically trained occupational therapist who serves children and families during early childhood and is endorsed as an infant family specialist through the Wisconsin Alliance for Infant Mental Health. Chris is currently an associate professor at UW-Milwaukee in Occupational Therapy Science and Technology program in the Rehabilitation Science and Technology Department. It gives me great pleasure today to introduce to you Chris. Chris?
Thank you for the warm introduction and all of the information you provided related to the pandemic and the services that Wisconsin Facets continues to do even in the midst of this pandemic. I'm so happy to be here today to talk about the Learn the Signs, Act Early campaign and materials, and also to present the digital toolkit. So our webinar or course objectives are to really understand the purpose of the CDC's Learn the Signs, Act Early, free developmental monitoring tools, and the campaign. And I hope to help you locate the CDC's Learn the Signs, Act Early webpage that includes helpful resources. And in this presentation, we'll talk about different options that are offered through the Learn the Signs, Act Early digital toolkit. And at the end of the presentation, we'll start to brainstorm some action steps that hopefully the participants, you as a participant, can engage in to promote parent-engaged developmental monitoring. So why did the CDC start developing these materials, and why did they develop the Learn the Signs, Act Early campaign? And the first bullet point I have here is actually from data taken in 2011. And I think we may see some changes as we are looking 10 to 11 years and again later after 2011, and again thinking about the pandemic. But back in 2011, researchers found that about 1 in 6 children aged 3 to 17 had a developmental disability. And they also found that up to 13% of children aged birth to 3 have developmental delays that would qualify them for Part C based on common state eligibility criteria. What we also have seen is that only 2 to 3% of children who receive Part C intervention services and between 5 to 6% of children receive early childhood special education services through IDEA Part B, Section 619. And so this enrollment data is suggesting that many children with developmental disabilities or delays may not be identified in time to access supportive early interventions. And really, by not promoting childhood or parent-engaged developmental monitoring and failure to identify children early really reduces the likelihood that children and families receive the benefits of the services that they should have. So the mission of Learn the Signs, Act Early is to really improve early identification of developmental delays and disabilities, and this includes autism. And the way or the method that the CDC is trying to do this is through parent-engaged developmental monitoring. And in addition to developmental monitoring, the CDC promotes developmental screening. And again, the whole goal is so that children and families get the early services and supports they need. As the Act Early ambassador, I serve as a conduit to Learn the Science Act Early target audiences. So I work in partnership with parents, organizations like Wisconsin Facets. I also work in partnership with healthcare professionals, early care and education professionals, and family service providers like home visiting. So my role is to serve the state of Wisconsin through these various target audiences. Just a little background or information about the program. There are actually 54 ambassadors across the country, and that includes, there's an ambassador for every state, and there are also ambassadors in territories such as Puerto Rico and some of the other territories. So there's a large group of us, and each of us is to work with these target audiences in our respective state or territory. I do want to say that the Learn the Science Act Early materials are being revised, and the CDC and AAP have partnered to review the Learn the Science Act Early materials and revise them. And we've been assured that the current materials, so I'll be showing you the current materials, they are the state of the art, and they will be used, and they're encouraging us to use them until the new materials are available. So the new materials should be available in spring or summer. So if you take a moment, you start exploring, or today we'll be exploring the website. If you go and log on or check out the materials, say in summer, you might see some subtle changes, and I just want you to be aware of that. And so some of the revisions are going to include refinement of the milestones. So they're really looking to include the most relevant or pertinent milestones, say, on the checklist. And the revisions also emphasize, and we'll talk through this a little bit today, that developmental monitoring is not the same as developmental screening. So the Learn the Science Act Early approach is really a health communication intervention. It's a public health communication intervention. And the materials are designed to be friendly, positive, and cute, to really focus on milestones that children commonly demonstrate at certain ages, and also to celebrate development as important, as well as acting on concerns. So I have a brief little story about this. I was showing the milestone moment booklet to my boss, and he had a 3-year-old daughter. And so we started looking through the milestone moment booklet at milestones appropriate for a child that's 3, and he was going through and he said, "Oh, she's doing this. Oh, she's doing that." He was so excited to see that his daughter was doing many of the milestones within the booklet. So, you know, it is designed, yes, to, if parents have concerns or questions, that they can see and use these milestone checklists and things like that, but it's also a way to celebrate what children are doing. The materials are parent focused, they're high quality, they're comprehensive, there's encouragement and helpful statements to support families if they do have questions. They're customizable so that we have many of the materials that actually have the Wisconsin Act Early website on there and links, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, the materials, especially the Milestone Tracker app, can be used with parents of preterm infants. There's a way to adjust the age, and I'll show you that as well. So as I had mentioned, the materials and tools, they're really designed to empower families. And what we've heard, and actually since I've been an occupational therapist, I started in pediatrics around 1990. And I was seeing and hearing this where parents were reporting that their child's doctor was not responsive to the concerns that they brought forward. And as an early intervention provider, I was seeing this in the field as well. And so there was this wait and see approach. And we've done some listening sessions probably about three years ago. It was pre-pandemic, where we talked to families about autism, and they had indicated that they had encountered a wait and see approach where the family had questions, but they were still being kind of guided. Just wait and see, and hopefully, the development, your child will catch up. So the materials are designed to empower families to continue to have those conversations and to actually use the materials to show where the concerns are. And so we support parents in getting their concerns addressed with a few reminders. So we know that acting early is the best way to support children, and families are doing the right thing if they do have questions and they need to be a little bit persistent. We also recognize that families and parents know their child better than anyone. So as an occupational therapist, I have my knowledge about occupational therapy and development and things like that, but I do not have specific knowledge about a particular child except my own children. So another point that we support parents in is to help families understand that they don't need a referral to reach out and contact early intervention services if their child's under the age of 3, or their local public school if their child's age 3 and over. So families, and I was in a meeting yesterday and we were talking about this, how families need to be supported to know that they can reach out to their early intervention program or the public school district if they do have questions. And this, the reason why it came up in the meeting that I was in yesterday is because we were starting to hear reports that families are having a hard time getting into to see their primary care physician right now because of the surge of COVID-19. And so it's important information that families can go forward and reach out to their early intervention program or their local public school. So in general, what are these developmental milestones? And milestones are just generally things or activities, skills that most children can do by a certain age. So these milestones from the CDC look at how a child plays, learns, speaks, acts, and moves. And they offer important clues about a child's developmental health. And so here's an example of a cute little girl pointing out a plane in the sky. And that's a developmental milestone for a child her age. So let's transition here to actually look at the digital toolkit. So I've included the hyperlink here to the website that has the digital toolkit. So we're going to move forward and go into that link. So here we see the digital toolkit. And essentially what the digital toolkit is it has these blocks, and these squares that contain different contents. And what's really nice is you can actually go and link to these areas. So if you want to learn more about the Milestone Tracker app or the checklists, the information for families, concerns about child development, you can go to these individual boxes and actually click on the hyperlink. So we're going to go through this and each of the boxes. So what's nice is it's located all in one place. So let's start by looking at the Milestone Tracker app. And this Milestone Tracker app is available through iOS systems or Android phones. So you need a smartphone to download the app. It's also available in Spanish. And it really has a lot of features that helps promote developmental monitoring for children aged 2 months to 5 years of age. So it includes checklists, there's video recordings of milestones. It makes it easy to track development, and they also include activities. So here you can see that you can add a child, and these can be personalized. So families, parents, or caregivers can actually upload a full photo. You can enter one child or multiple children if they're between the ages of birth to 5. There's the Tracker app. So it really is easy to go through the milestones, and you check if the milestone is present, not present, or if you're unsure. There's checklists for, the checklist can be adjusted rather for prematurity. So it calculates, the app calculates the corrected age for babies born prematurely. It includes photos of milestones and videos, which in many ways, that's a nice feature because you have a short video clip of what the milestone looks like. It also includes tips and activities and ideas about when to act early or when to talk with the healthcare provider about developmental concerns, or to reach out to early intervention or your local public school. Another nice feature of the app is that it includes, you can record or put in appointments, and it'll keep track of your appointments, and you'll get a reminder. I have the app downloaded on my phone, and you get reminders about when to go through a checklist. And then after you go through a checklist, then there's this wonderful summary that the app creates of your child's milestones. So it really is, I think, very versatile and has many features that the checklist or the milestone moment booklets, some of the more hard copy or the other materials don't have. And it's free to download, and on this page you can see how you can download the Tracker app from the App Store or Google Play. So that's the first box. Now we'll go to the second box. And here are the milestone checklists. And the milestone checklists start at 2 months of age, and you can see sort of the difference between the versatility and all of the features of the app in comparison to the milestone checklist. Milestone checklists are really good, though, for individuals who don't have access to iOS or Android phones, possibly individuals who don't. What we've heard some feedback from parents is that the app takes up a lot of space on your phone. So, they might not want to download the app because they don't want to use that much space on their phone. So the checklists are really a nice way to continue to do developmental monitoring, but they're they won't take up so much space and a family doesn't have to use their iPhone. So this is an example of the checklist here. And you can see this is your baby at 2 months of age. And these are just some things on the left-hand side, what most babies do at 2 months of age. And then there's on the right-hand side a little box that says, if you have questions or concerns, then you should see or talk to your doctor, or like I say, contact early intervention or your local school district. You can see that there are milestones listed in social emotional, language communication, cognition, or the learning, thinking, and problem solving, and also movement and physical development. And these milestone checklists include activities. So these are activities that parents or caregivers can do with their children to help promote development. And then if I were to scroll down through the first year of life, there's checklists at every 2 months. And then afterwards, they're at about, so it goes a year and then it goes to 18 months. These checklists are also available in Spanish as well, and they may have some other languages. I'd have to check on the CDC's website to see if there are other languages. There are some ACT Early ambassadors who have done some translation, and so those are available too. And you can just check with me and I can find out which languages if you need a checklist or something in a different language. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. I love this area or this box on the digital toolkit, as this shows information for families. So again, we have some of the information that's repeated about the milestone tracker app and the milestone checklists. There are these video and photo examples of milestones. So that's really a wonderful archive of those milestones in action. And this is the section that I really like, and that's the books for families. So there are books, there are 1, 2, and 3-year-old books, and they're so well designed, they're cute and friendly, and they really do incorporate the milestones in the story. And what I really love about them is that they promote early language development and early literacy. They help promote understanding and awareness of milestones in action, and they really help foster the parent-caregiver interaction. So it's a fun way of thinking about milestones, but yet embedding it in a meaningful and purposeful activity. So, and these books, so you can order these books online. If you click on this hyperlink, I'm going to do it, and we're going to make sure that we get us back to the PowerPoint, but I want to show you this. So this is the order form. Now, so there's a limit. Here are all the materials. Here you can see there, this new milestone moment booklet temporarily is not available for ordering from the CDC, and that's because they're revising. So I want to show you this page because anybody can go here and order materials, okay? And they'll have a limit, but once these become more available and the revised materials are more available, anybody can go to this page and order materials. And if you're looking for a larger order, then, you know, please contact me and I can see if there's an organization that actually might have some supplies. A really nice thing to take note of is if they don't have like the actual materials, you can see this PDF link. So you can actually download the PDF, and if your organization has some funds for printing, you can print materials too. So when they're talking about that, these materials are free. If the material isn't available, the actual hard copy or something like that, the PDF is available, and you'll be able, you can, if you're in an organization, you can order or print from the PDF rather. Okay, so now let's go back. Okay, so we went through the information for families. And so here, this tab includes information about if you're concerned about your child's development. So this is more specifically about talking to your doctor and reinforcing and empowering parents to talk to your doctor. Again, if you can't get in to see your doctor, find out where your early intervention program is, or contact your local public school and talk to them. So here again, just reiterating the app, the milestone checklist. Here is a tip sheet, and I'm going to do a little bit of exploring again. So this is a little tip sheet about what to do if you are concerned, or if you have questions, or if you know of a parent that within your organization that is concerned. And one of the things that I think is really nice here, so we can see, you know, make an appointment with your child's doctor, or again, EI program, or local public school district, You do the milestone checklist, or if you're a professional working with a family, you work with a family to complete a milestone checklist, and then encourage the family to show the completed checklist to the doctor or to the person that they're talking to. And that way you can say, this is a reliable resource, and this is why I'm having these concerns or questions. And then the next step is to ask for developmental screening for the child. And then to better understand, to work with that healthcare professional or early intervention professional to see if the child needs further developmental evaluation. And another tip that I love about that's included on this sheet is that to understand what the doctor is telling you and what to do next. So, you know, you can use strategies or coach your families to use strategies to better understand what the doctor is saying. I think sometimes when we're under duress or stress, it's easy to miss what our healthcare providers are telling us. And I have a short little story again. This was about my older son who had his wisdom teeth pulled. And I went in after the dentist had pulled his wisdom teeth, and he looked awful. He was laying in this chair. He was barely responsive. He had blood crusted around his mouth, and he was just looking at me, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah," but he was very lethargic. So afterwards, I went to the dental assistant who was assisting with the tooth extraction, and she was giving me a bunch of instructions about what to do to avoid dry socket, to make sure he didn't get an infection, all those things. And the only image I had was, while I'm talking to her, was my son, who seemed somewhat unresponsive and didn't look really good. So she was talking to me, and I kept going like this, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then she said, "Do you have any questions?" No, didn't have a question. And I wasn't listening to her because I was under stress and I was worried about my son. But I did know that she gave me written instructions, and I'm like, once I get him settled, I'm going to go back and read through these written instructions. So this point, number 4, getting back to this point, is relative to really figuring out, how does your parent, or as a parent yourself, how do you respond and relate when somebody is telling you information about your child, and to make sure that you leave that appointment understanding what specifically is being said, and that you take notes, and that all of your questions have been answered. I think it's real easy for us, and as parents or caregivers, again, to kind of have that stress, and then to not take those notes, and to forget like what the next steps are. So I want to encourage you to do that and use whatever system that works for you. If it's a handwritten notebook, if it's typing things into your phone, whatever works for you, it's your right to understand what your next steps are. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. So that was the how to get help for your child. We also have information around American Sign Language. And so there's a video in American Sign Language that helps the community that's hard of hearing or deaf know how to use and work with the materials. So if that's a resource that would be helpful for you, please use that. So here is information learning more about developmental screening, and then talking about asking for a referral, and also how to get an evaluation, and learning more about your state's early intervention information. So you can actually click on this tab. I'm gonna not do that because of what just came up. Here we go. I'm gonna click here. There we go. Sorry about that. So here you can see information about early intervention, and then you can click on this link, and you can find out information about Wisconsin's early intervention program. And Wisconsin has just updated their early intervention program, has just updated their information about their Birth to 3 program, and they have a wonderful media toolkit that then you can access as well. So now I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. So these are a variety of resources that are in the box that's titled Concerned About Your Child's Development. Okay, here in this box on the digital toolkit, you will see information that is about the difference between developmental monitoring and developmental screening. So developmental monitoring, as you can see on this box in the left, it can be done by anybody, anybody who interacts and engages with young children. So, and it can be done by caregivers, grandparents, and we are encouraging early care and learning professionals to use these tools. So anyone who interacts with young children can support developmental monitoring through any of these tools. And really, again, what you're looking for are developmental milestones from the ages of birth to 5, and to celebrate a child's development, and also to help support parents if they need to talk to another professional. So in comparison, developmental screening is usually done by a healthcare provider, early childhood teacher, or other trained provider. And the AAP is recommending that developmental screening be done for all children at 9 months, 18 months, and 30 months of age. So general developmental screening might be with the Ages and Stages questionnaire. The AAP and CDC are recommending that children at the ages of 18 and 24 months actually receive autism-specific screening. And the screening tool that I'm most familiar with is the MCHAT. And so these are the recommended screening times or period ages of development when AAP and CDC are saying that all children should be screened. And screening is different than developmental monitoring in that it would identify whether or not a child needs more help with development, and whether or not more in-depth developmental evaluations are recommended. So, for example, if a child at 18 months has an MCHAT done, and there are some red flags or risk factors for autism, that child then would go for an autism diagnostic evaluation, which is really an in-depth evaluation to determine if autism is actually a diagnostic classification where the child's behaviors fit into. And so developmental screening is really done with a formal, validated screening tool like the Ages and Stages questionnaire and the MCHAT. And whereas developmental monitoring is just this general overview and looking at milestones. So you can also see that this handout is available in Spanish as well. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this previously, about what is early intervention, and I showed you the Wisconsin's Birth to 3 program, and you can find your state or territory's early intervention program. I think what's nice about this digital toolkit is that there's multiple ways that you can access information and multiple hyperlinks. So we saw it in the supporting parents, there was hyperlinks to early intervention. And here's a specific box that has the information about early intervention. Here again, they're saying that a doctor's referral is not necessary, and then what to do if your child is 3 years or older, and then this is where the state's hyperlinks are. Okay. So we also have videos, buttons, and social media. And this might be if you're working in with parents through your organization, you might find that some of these video buttons or Facebook messaging, and I'll show you some of that, might be useful. So if your organization is serving families with young children, you might find some of these resources really helpful. If you're a family member and you think that these resources would be helpful and you're interacting with an organization and you would like them to use some of these resources, this page or this box in the toolkit might be helpful as well. So as you can see, there's information included in Spanish. And here are some of the promotional videos. This is the promotional video for the Milestone Tracker app. So what you'll see on our Act Early Wisconsin page or Act Early Wisconsin Facebook page, we might put this Milestone Tracker app promotional video on that page so that people can become more aware of the app. Here is a video of parents sharing their experiences with the Learn the Signs Act Early materials and what that meant for them. I have used actually this video here of the director's story. There was a Pathways to Quality conference that had just ended in December, and I had an exhibit booth it was a digital or virtual rather booth, and I had this video uploaded to the booth. So anybody that came to the exhibitor area digital or virtually could click on and watch this story of the Early Learning Center's director on how she uses Learn the Signs Act Early. Here's a nice video too. I've used this with the Wisconsin Association of Perinatal Care to show how a doctor is speaking about using the Learn the Signs Act Early materials in her practice. So things, here's Milestones Matter for Families in Spanish. So this is a family that speaks Spanish and how the milestones were important to them and using the Learn the Signs Act Early materials. And also, we are working across the country. Some states are really immersed with their WIC programs. And so this is a recruitment video for WIC. In Wisconsin, we're starting to develop those conversations about how these materials can be implemented in the Women, Infants, and Children's program. So there's a training video for WIC staff, and there's also this video in American Sign Language. So again, if you're working with the deaf or hard of hearing community, and you would like to use some of these resources with that community, this video is available. So Baby Steps is just really a nice video about helping and supporting families if they are concerned. And then here's another video in Spanish. Now, as we scroll down, we see these. I'm chuckling because I'm really not of the age too much of using social media, but I do a little bit, but I'm not really well versed in it. For our CDC work, I do have a social media specialist who's a young person who's really helping me stay on top of this social media stuff. So, but there are, as you can see, there are tweets and Facebook posts for different audiences. So again, if you're working within an organization and you would like to promote some of these materials, you can see that there are these posts that are already written, and I'm going to click on here so you can see. So here, what is early intervention? And you can put that on Facebook. And all you have to do is really copy these posts and you're set to go. So it's a wonderful resource. And again, you have them in Spanish. So the buttons, you can use these buttons if you would like to promote Learn the Signs Act early on your organization page, and you can copy the code over here and use this button. We actually used this flyer here as a bus campaign to get the word out last spring about the Milestone Tracker app. So there's all different ways you can use these buttons to help promote the different materials if you're interested, it aligns well with your organization's mission. And this Watch Me is actually a free training for early educators, and early care and learning professionals can earn 1 credit worth of CEU by participating in this Watch Me training. So this is a wonderful resource too if you're in an early care or learning center and you're looking for ways to help your staff understand and know of all of these resources and how to use them. The Watch Me training is a great resource. So here, again, these are just buttons advertising, but about the different resources and the videos and different things that you can put on your organization's page if that aligns well with your mission. So these are other related pages that are available. And so there's positive parenting tips, there's information about child development, and information about developmental disabilities. All of these hyperlinks you should be able to get to by just clicking on the link like I did. So there's all sorts of information here about developmental disabilities and different things that are included in the digital toolkit. Okay. Okay, here is the Vroom poster. So the CDC has partnered with Vroom which is funded by the Bezos Foundation. And what Vroom is actually it provides text messages and information to families about brain building. And so Vroom has different activities that can be incorporated into daily life that help children's brains grow and develop. And so this is a poster that shows this partnership between the CDC and Vroom. And so you see the milestones listed here. And then you also, and the link to go to the tracker. And then you also see this brain building tip that talks about how to build literacy and language. And it doesn't matter if you have a book or not. You might be driving down the road and seeing a billboard, or you might be looking at a magazine. All of that counts. So that's the tip from Vroom. And you can click on that hyperlink to go to the Vroom website. I'm also learning in Wisconsin that there's a Ready 4K program that also sends tips and activities to promote development. And so Wisconsin has a Ready 4K text messaging program that Wisconsin citizens can actually sign up for. So that's available in Wisconsin. Okay. So I wanted to, I see we're at about 12:51, and I wanted to have us start brainstorming about action steps that you can do to promote developmental monitoring. And I think you're free to put any action steps in the question box if you're thinking about, oh, how might I use these materials in my own professional or personal life. And I've just listed some general action steps. So one action step that I would encourage is folks to visit the Act Early website of Wisconsin. And this is included on your handout. And what you see is Wisconsin has this wonderful Act Early, Learn the Science Act Early website. It's for families, professionals, and there are ways to download the tracker app. If you would like to see this page in Spanish, you can click on this link, and the page will be translated into Spanish. You can click on for families, and again, you can make the change so that the information is provided in Spanish. And here's the tracker app and the books and things like that. So all the things that we've covered. We also have a For Professionals section, and that's where you can get free Wisconsin-specific materials for parents. So healthcare providers, early education educators, there are free materials. And if I have the link on the handout, the direct link, but these are the materials we have available in Wisconsin, and they've been customized to include Wisconsin contact information. We have milestone moment booklets. We have a brochure, and we have growth charts. And these can be ordered, and you just fill out this order form and your contact information, and the materials will be sent to you. So that's included on the handout. And so that's an action step that you can take. You can visit and explore the digital toolkit on your own. As you see, I gave you a very cursory overview of all the information that's included in that toolkit. And I hope it's given enough information that you feel confident that you can visit and explore the website on your own. And you can encourage families to do milestone tracker app downloads or work with the checklist. So I just thought it might be fun. Barb, are we seeing any comments in the question box about how people might use these materials or any action steps?
I don't have any questions or action steps at this point, but one of the things that I do have is a question for you if you're ready to take that. And
Sure.
that's how do school districts through their child find possibly use some of this information, because it's their responsibility to do some of these things when parents maybe don't have a clue?
Yes, that's an excellent question. One of the things that we've done up in the Northland Pines School District, so I kind of have my foot in two doors. I am from Milwaukee, but we have a permanent residence up in the Eagle River area. And one of the things I've done is actually given them milestone moment booklets. I think that they're DPI, the Department of Public Instruction, is very much aware of these materials. School districts might need a little prompting. I'm available to do presentations, to talk about the materials. If you're in a certain school district and you would like to see this included in your school district's child find activities, and you want to connect us, I'd be happy to meet with people from the school district and show them some of these resources. But I think it's an excellent question, because I think these resources would be very helpful at those. We have, I forget, they're like cute events. They're named and titled very cute, like kitty roundup or something at some of those days when the districts are doing their child find activities. I'd be happy to reach out and let them know what materials are available.
And there is one other comment, and that was in addition to the child find information for the school district, a lot of pediatricians' offices don't have some of this material and don't readily give it out to their patients. Maybe it should be a suggestion that people do that whenever they can.
Yes, I think we've been working with the Children's Health Alliance. So and different healthcare systems, and doing some education and information sharing. Like I say, working through the Perinatal Care Association, but I do think that we need to continue to remind people that these resources are available for them. And what I didn't do, and let me see, what I can do is definitely share my email address, and so you have it. So if you want me to connect or contact someone or work with someone, again, that's part of my role. So I'd be happy to do that.
And if you wouldn't mind just reiterating your email address for people, I don't see it on the slide. Is it on that slide?
No, it's not, and I
Okay.
don't think. So it's easy. It's Chris, Kris, B as in boy, at uwm.edu.
Okay, thank you very much. So unfortunately, we're out of time. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Chris, for the wealth of information that you shared. I know that I learned a tremendous amount, and I'm sure that those that are on the webinar with us did the same. So thank you again. We appreciate it. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we close out our webinar?
No, I'm grateful for your attendance, and please feel free to reach out if you have additional questions.
So thank you very much, Chris, again, and thank you to everybody who joined us today. Please be reminded that Wisconsin Facets has over 100 trainings and webinars for 2022, and please check out our website calendar and register for any of those trainings that may be of interest to you. Also be reminded that a short evaluation will be coming your way after today's live presentation. Thank you again, and everybody have a great day and stay safe and be well. Bye-bye, everybody.